Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video that you're probably wondering why I'm making um this video now. Well, talking about, the youth center and not continuing on with it. It's because I kind of wanted to sort of just go through what go through just my experience at the last week of the like the actual last week. So of the youth center in general. So yeah, like sure, it closed technically. Like for everyone else, it closed uh in May or June. I don't remember specifically, but it was something on. I think it was in June, possibly, like somewhere on those lines. For pretty much everyone else. I, however, the role playing group at least was lucky enough to get the summer of just playing of role playing. So at least there's that. Um, in my opinion, the role playing, I think the youth center in general was just, in my opinion, one of the great ones in general. Some might even say like one of the best youth centers. I don't know if I can say that much. I don't know that much about the other youth centers or how it goes there. But based on the other youth centers that have at least checked out the youth center here, like the youth center Hamarin, um, well, yeah, it's basically based on their how do you say, what was it? Based on their opinions, uh, that youth center Hamarin was one of the better ones, like one of the better youth centers because and there are things that I'm gonna say that like okay sure we didn't this youth center that I usually go to, the youth center Ramadan doesn't have like fancy equipment or anything like that, not entirely, but there's one thing that it does do good at, or did do good at, and that was having interesting events at least. And so yeah, there's that. But to fully understand, the growth of the youth center and all that, we have to go to the beginning. Uh, Youth Center Hamarin officially opened in 2019 for basically, for youth in general, from 16 to 25. I was just lucky enough to be 17, so like, so I've basically been at the youth center from the very beginning, or at least from when it was open. And yeah, that's how much I can say about that. Um, in general, I think at first it was doing okay. It wasn't like there wasn't any major events at the time besides like, connecting with like a specific school, not really going into the other school that is literally in the same town, like high school basically. And so like people kind of just went into like people from the other school, not the one that I usually go to, uh, you just usually came there, and which was like, it was kind of a bummer in a way because you know, but besides that, in general, I think the youth center was doing okay, like, and in that regard, um, there was also this, what was it called again? Let me check real quick. What it was called again? It was a specific wording that was phrased. I don't remember exactly, but it was like I don't remember the exact phrase, but there was something interesting, to say the least. Wait, let me real real quick because it was it yeah, the user console basically. So they made this. It was also made around 2019, like early on, like a bit earlier on, like a few weeks later, but still like earlier on. It was, I think it was like, it was, I think it was like a week after the role playing group was funded, or like, came to be. So like, there's that. And I've also been in there from the very beginning. So it's kind of funny how I've been sort of like there. I technically speaking wasn't at the exact first day, but I've been there long enough to like I actually went the second day after. Technically, yeah. So technically speaking, not from the very beginning, not like the first day, but like close, at least. And I've been supporting of the youth center itself in general. And I always thought it would could have been better at the time. Um, but you know, these things happen also. Like we had, like at the time, um, back then, from like 2019 to 2020, before like there was another like use uh user council uh like voting. And it's funny, I've been basically in that, in like in the yes vote, more or less, in that group, and I feel like I barely did anything. I mean, besides giving, like, how do you say, my thoughts into things. Let's just go with that, into the things, and kind of just sort of. So you could say I still did something, and also because I was in the role playing group, I could also sort of exchange information. But then there were also some things that I just didn't know of, and that happened and stuff like that. You know, literally around the time when the role playing group was supposed to be there. So it was kind of like a weird situation there, but it worked out. I think was like exactly, if I remember correctly, exactly around 2020, like right before the summer, um, there was a new person who took over, who has been at the youth center ever since, or was at least, because you know the youth center is closing. She's been fired, and it's only like the role playing group left. So it's like, yeah, you know that's kind of the sad part about it. Dang. But without further ado, once she came in, everything changed from there on. Things were getting like we were getting proper events, like more proper events at the time, like there, and it started to grow a bit more. Sure, it wasn't growing as much as it did now, like recently, but more recently, but like it still was growing pretty good, pretty well actually. And all these events was happening. Um, Also, like I think like after the summer, there like the current um person over like the role playing group was had to go on a trip. So there was another one sort of taking his place for the time being, and then another thing happened where um that person like a year later had to take a break because of he was getting essentially like a child was like coming for him basically, so he was getting a child, a daughter to be more specific. So yeah, it was that. So he had to go away for. I mean, he was pretty much away for like from autumn or like autumn winter or something like that to like next autumn or something like that, like the autumn the year after. I think it was like, yeah, 2022. Yeah, it was 2022. So yeah, but yeah, a lot like, and during the role playing group as well, there was like comes and goes every now and then. The only ones of the OGs from that of the role playing group is me and another person. Only two people, and I've been there from the beginning, which is kind of insane, but also interesting to see how that actually ended up. So you could say I've been in a role playing group ever since it started until the end, like the youth center Hamad and role playing group from beginning to the end. So yeah, but we'll also see how this will go for the future of for the people in the role playing group that is currently. Yeah, but yeah, there's been some interesting events as well. Like I think like it was in 2020 where was planned of a campaign where it's basically a campaign with just one shot more or less, where it was just pretty much a sandbox game more or less, where you had like there was one preset town or whatever, and then you just explored finding new areas, and that would just grow the map in general. And that became a thing until we decided to change it again do it so like there was some sort of time skip or whatever, or like time mumbo jumbo thing where a time bubble appears and then they're sent somewhere and then that happened. And then another thing happened where it's just like an entire reset of the world, more or less. But like some of the thing, like some of the aspect of the like previous parts of the world still existed somewhat, and therefore it's still like remnants of the previous world is still like there ish, but it's still like very absent. Like it's barely even recognizable, and so on. So it's kind of like a just you could say it's pretty much a reset of the world, and it was actually going really well until the closure. So yeah, at least we did do one major thing with it. So yeah, there was that. With yeah, I know I'm going through the role playing group first, but you know what? We'll just go over that to begin with. There was also the Bulgaria trip with the role playing group from the Center and that happened as well. That happened in March to be specific, which I already talked about in another video, so I'll probably link that in the description below for those who want to check it out, you know, who haven't heard that story yet. Um, but yeah, there was that, which I think was one of the coolest things to happen with the role playing group in general. So there was that, and now since it's closing, it's kind of like yeah, that just went into went away into the trash because there was plans of continuing the the connection and the the cooperation basically. And since it's kind of just gone downhill because of the closure, it's kind of just you know at least I will still cherish the memories and I'll still have stuff from there. So it's at least I can remember those good times, as you could say. So and also another thing that was actually interesting for the fact that um because of the closure, uh Hamarin, like the workers at Hamarin, specifically like those who are over the role playing group, and essentially the one that was, you know, in control of Hamarin, more or less, uh, basically decided to give out like their stuff, give out the D&D stuff that Dungeons Dragon stuff that was there because they didn't want the town to actually own it in general because it was something that was bought for Hamarin for the role playing group specifically, and therefore they decided to just take it because and I think it's just fair in general. It wouldn't make sense for the town to actually have this, to be honest. So yeah, so I'll probably showcase some of it. So one of the things that was interesting is interesting for this. One of the things I actually got because I technically speaking, I've been the longest. No, not just technically, literally been the longest in the role playing group. because I've been since the start of it. The other person who was also an OG came in. I think what was like 2 weeks later, something like that. So yeah, that there was that 2 or 3 weeks later, I think. So there was that, and honestly, I'm kind of happy that I accepted it. Not that I really needed it, except for like the monster manual because I don't actually own that digitally. Like the other books I have digitally, and then there's the you know what? I'll just showcase it real quick. So it's basically the set that you could have gotten. Essentially, there's the three core books right here. The let me see, let me get it out real quick. There's the core, like the player's handbook, the main one that players need in general, and has the basic rules of that players need. Then there's the Dungeon Master's Guide, which which is made for dungeon masters. Not the best. Like there are some rules in here as well that is specifically for the dungeon masters in general, which is basically like a game master where you just you have your own stuff. The players are somewhere on the table away from where you are. Well, not that much away, but just not in your sights. Therefore, I'll just explain it a bit more later. And then there's the monster manual for more monsters if you want to just throw in some, monsters, or just want to make sure that you have some arsenal up your sleeve. And then we have the DM screen, which is basically for the DM to basically keep things hidden from every other player, essentially. And it's just a very basic, like it's just one of those very basic DM screens in general. Although I'm not gonna lie, that it does look good. It does look good. So yeah, I have basically, you could say I just got those for free without spending anything. Even though technically speaking, I did spend for digital versions, but the physical ones I didn't really need to spend for, since I just got those. And to be specific, this is for the fifth edition, aka the 2014 version of it. And there is technically another version coming out called 2024 edition. So there's that as well. Um, which I might also check into, like if I want to go like it would be interesting to make a video about me just making characters, or just help with just making myself in a D&D world. That would be interesting, actually. But other than that, let's keep going. Another thing, this one I just caught. I just decided to take because I think like no one wanted to actually get it, so I was like, sure, why not? Which was like Lost Mines of Tower from, like, I think it was like Star Set or something like that, like Adventure Set. Uh, so yeah, basically the Lost Mines of Delver like started campaign, which, hey, at least I have a campaign for people to run. I also, technically speaking, also have the Wilds Beyond the Witchlight, which is digital, which I also bought uh quite a while, like a while ago, actually. I don't remember what year specifically, but it was shortly after it came out. So yeah. Uh, some of other things I also have here are minis. One of them is not entirely done painting, but like we have this one, which is like this just tabaxi with basically a cat person. Uh, which I started painting. If like it was there was this sort of art event happening, and we decided to like do our own art thing. So we ended up going with painting, like painting figures, and doing like a uh what is it called? I've completely forgotten what it's called. Basically, we just pretty much just made a map, like a 3D map, basically, but like using foam and stuff like that. So yeah, it was actually really interesting. This was the second one I tried to that I painted. It's not fully complete, but like it's getting there. Like I never actually completed this one, so I might get to that one eventually. Um, another character, however, another figure, however, which I actually based this off one character that I was mainly playing at the time, which was Winston Black, like this Black Tabaxi, also known as Winston Black because I just named him that, which was a Tabaxi who got his like who was a Shadow Sorcerer monk, like both Shadow subclasses, and he got his powers through a shadow entity that somehow just merged with him. So it's kind of like this really cool way of just saying, "Hey, this is a character who has connection to the shadow, to his shadow abilities due to an shadow entity that he has merged with," which I think was a really cool concept. And also, like the story around this character just kind of went all over the place. I mean, okay, he has a shadow entity that is just inside of him apparently. So he is that. He got married to an orc, Lady Orc, which is actually kind of funny. Adopted adopted a human child. Yeah, adopted a human child and um became famous in the city known as Hamrock, which was the main city during the time of the campaign. So it was actually really interesting, and it's one of the most memorable characters of that campaign in general, which I find funny, considering how much he has done, which is not that much. Then, you know what? Let's save the big one for last. We have this one, which was 3D painted. 3D printed, if I remember correctly, by one of the friends of the person who like worked there for the role playing group. So this one, like the red mage, which I think is a really cool one. Honestly, I decided to take this one because it was a cool one, and I thought like why not having this as as a mini for certain things. Another one I decided to take. also was a really interesting like Minotaur, which one of the like people who went there at the beginning, like one of the OGs, uh, bought these and painted them. Essentially, these are made of metal, funnily enough, and basically he just you know he bought this one specifically for a character that I was playing at the time. It was a Minotaur Bloodhunter, and so I think it's a really cool mini in general. So yeah, it's an interesting like design in general, which I think just works. And finally, a Shadow Dragon. This one I kind of just I thought this one was cool, so that's the reason why I just kind of wanted this one in general. I might use it at some point for something if we end up, getting to play a game. Just meet up and play a game at some point eventually of D&D. Then I did also take a set of dices, not a full set, but like it was only missing like a one, like missing one die, but besides that, it was pretty like it was mostly full. It was only missing a D6, which is like the normal dice that you use for anything really. So yeah, and the reason why I didn't take more is because thought I just took enough to begin with. I didn't want to take any more. Plus, I got the three core books physically. Just I felt like I didn't want to take anything else. Plus, the starting adventure or the starting campaign with or the thing that is considered as a starting campaign to begin with. So yeah, and yeah, there's that. And yeah, other people did also take some stuff with them if they that they wanted. But I decided to take these specifically. Well, this one was more like given, like the core books and then the DM screen. But the other things I just decided to take, like I just wanted a little bit more, like just take a little bit, but not too much because I already got some. Like I consider this a lot. Okay, I consider three core books, which is all you need to make a to start a session with, and the DM screen. There's nothing else you really need at that point. Maybe like minis if if you're gonna go like and grid or something like that. If you want to go like all in, just meet up and then play with figures and stuff like that. Other than that, like you mainly just need the core rule books and the DM screen. But yeah, besides that, we should also get into the other things that the youth center was also done for. Uh, so the user console also like there was also certain things that happened with there. Like I think like during like the summer of 2019, there were certain things happening there. Like it was okay. I honestly don't remember that much about it. There was like we went swimming, that's for sure. That do I remember. We did get burgers. I don't remember what else we did. There's like that one thing that we did. it was more like a free thing, like thing to do, to get to know each other better. Just ended up, I don't know, I just can't remember that fondly of it for some odd reasons. The second thing actually we did, we went on a trip basically, and we went to stay near a lighthouse, like near it, not at it. It was like a house nearby that we got to stay in basically. But before that, we went. Oh wait, was it? Yeah, it was. So like, or no, wait a minute. The swimming was at that time, not the other time. Honestly, don't remember how the first time went, what the first time was, but like the second time we went swimming, it was also a. We went also into an elementary school for karaoke stuff with pizza. There was also like a question, like where you're written down like fears and stuff like that, that sort of thing, which was called a game. But I was like, I don't consider this as a game in general. Like it felt more like you know, how do you say this? More like getting to know each other more through writing on a paper and letting someone else say something about it, basically. So yeah. Um, but yeah, the karaoke thing was fun. While we were at the house nearby the lighthouse, basically, it was in Reykjavik, if I remember correctly. We basically just we played some board games at the time and stuff like that. But then we just kind of went early and just to bed and just, yeah, or something like that. That's probably the thing that I remember the most from there. Anything else is kind of like blurry. It's funny when you just remember the good times and then the ones there's like, eh, it was kind of, I'm not saying it wasn't fun at the time, but like it's kind of like those moments when you think it was fun at the time, but now you just like you look back at it and you just don't remember what actually happened, and therefore it was boring to begin with. It was it's sort of like that because for me, I don't normally don't remember the boring stuff. Normally, not always, but normally. Um, and there are just certain things that like normally I wouldn't actually call it boring, but the way my mind works, it's a complex thing. I'm a chaotic person with a chaotic mind. I can't always figure out what my mind is think like what my mind is thinking of this, which is the same thing as saying how I think about it, which is weird. Besides the point. uh, so yeah, it was that. The one time we actually, which is way later actually, when we went to get to know, we're just having fun, which was more recently actually. We basically went bowling. It was it was before I went before before the role playing group went to Bulgaria, like before the Bulgaria trip with the role playing group, like not the entire group, of course, but like the user council basically went. We went to bowling. The like most of the users council and the workers there, like some of them, not all of them, of course. And honestly, it was a great time. Honestly, it was it that part is way more memorable than the other two parts for some odd reasons, which is funny, which is somehow funny. Because at that time we went to visit another youth center just to check it out, really. Then we went. After that, we just went bowling. Like we got pizza at the bowling place because it was basically a pizza place and a bowling place at the same time. Yeah, I know it's a weird thing. You could also get ice cream there, I think, or shake, whatever it was. Uh, so yeah, there was that, like an ice cream shake, basically. Um, there was that as well, which I find somehow funny. But yeah, so we went there, got pizza before we went bowling, which is an interesting choice. I'm not gonna say it was a bad choice. It was an interesting choice. And so we went bowling, and yeah, it kind of went. It honestly was very like enjoyable in general. Just seeing how everyone did. Like for example, for me at first, I was doing not that great, to be honest. It was not going well for me at the beginning, but then I kind of managed to go up. Some misses, but that happens when you haven't been bowling that much to begin with. But yeah, there's that basically. Uh, so yeah, there was that, and there were a lot of events also planned for the youth center to begin with. So it's a shame that um that the youth center Hamadan is close closing to begin with. This is basically the last week. Technically speaking, it was supposed to close at 15th, but we get that last day because the 15th is literally a Thursday, and Thursday is usually when we when the role playing group is you know role playing. Specifically we do mostly play like tabletop role playing games, but sometimes we go into board games or do something else. Who knows? The one time, actually, there was the one time um with the playing group. This was also really early on. Um, I think it was in 20. Was it in 2020? I think so. I don't remember if it was 2019 or 2020. No, it was 2020. 2019 was different kind of summer at the time. But 2020 was um when we basically decided to like a D&D movie at the time. And and yes, there was a really old D&D movie, Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like the very first one, which is so bad it's good kind of movie. It's that kind of movie. It was, and in general, I think pretty much everyone was enjoying it to begin with. So I think it was a really good thing in general. And so like we just decided to watch literally literally watch that movie and having like just homemade pizza pretty much at the youth center. So it was actually kind of just cool in general. Um, one thing I have to say about the youth center in general, felt it felt like another place you could just stay or just be in without worrying too much about the other place in general. Like it's basically for the you used to just hang out basically for the most part and do the things that they want to do there basically as long as it's within like as long as you're not breaking any rules, that is. So we're breaking any rules. So yeah. And in terms of the user council, it's it's been kind of a different vibe for each and every like uh year, because it's kind of like um well, besides the first 2 years of you know or technically speaking 20, yeah, first 2 years was kind of just the same vibe all like throughout. But like until the until the current like or the one that was the current um you know caretaker of Hamadan in general was like got the job for it. It kind of had a different vibe in general, and honestly was probably probably one of the better choices to begin with at the time, because ever since she came in, things just changed for the better for the youth center Hamadan, in my opinion. And so yeah. uh Honestly, if it ends up somehow to be like um that they reopen it out of nowhere, which to be honest it wouldn't be too surprising considering how like Icelanders work in general. I should know since I've lived here for pretty much my entire life, despite not being um how do you say Icelandic in blood, that is, you know because my parents are from Faroe Islands and therefore I'm not Icelandic per se, but I still grew up in Iceland, therefore I'm still sort of connected to the society in general of Iceland. So it's kind of like this mixed bag, really complicated mixed bag. uh, so yeah, that's a thing. So when it comes towards Icelanders, um, in terms of what I do in general, I can't relate too much with that. In terms of the thought process, however, Some of them I can actually relate. Some of the people that can I relate to actually. Uh, not the not the ones on the like higher up. Like most of those. Like the Icelandic government or something like that. Because I think like most of the people there are just idiots. Not all of them, but most of them. It may be controversial, but considering what I've seen throughout my years, they're idiots. And that's that. That is my opinion of it. Solid opinion, honestly. And there's nothing else I can say about it. Government, politicians, so on. Of Iceland is just, you know, are just idiots. There's nothing more to say about it. But other than that, like, again, most of them, not all of them. But other than that, I think the youth center, while it lasted, it was an amazing place to be at and to have fun in, have have fun in. And therefore, I do honestly respect the people that work there to begin with. Most of them, at least. Uh, but don't think there's anything else I can say about it. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button. If you want to see more of this, more of these, like, if you want to support me even further, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. May the storm be with you.